are recording. Welcome to episode 2 of Faint Praise. I'm Toni.
I'm Eric.
And this is a podcast where we compare movies with similar themes by scoring them in a few different categories in order to decide which one did it better. Now, I like to try and focus on not the greatest movies, and I think we hit the nail on the head this week. This week's
also
theme...
the theme we just created, too.
Yeah,
it's really not the same theme in the movie.
Yeah, we chose the movies because we just like the name of the theme, which is versus versus versus. And we're doing Alien versus Predator versus Freddy versus Jason.
AVP v FVJ.
Right. I'm not going to be able to repeat that. So I'm leaving that one up to you to ever...
I have it written down.
Yeah, to ever use again. So we watched Alien vs. Predator first because we always try to watch what we think is going to be the worst movie first. It happens to be that Eric had seen both of these movies before. These. So we kind of...
It's been a while, though. Especially for Freddy vs. Jason. I saw that when it came out in, 2003 or something like that?
So Eric already kind of had an idea
ago.
of probably which one he wanted to watch first because he'd seen Alien vs. Predator more times than Freddy vs. Jason. And
also, if it's just a movie that I've seen more recently, if you're going to watch two movies either in the same day or at once... You want the second one to be one that you're a little more interested in seeing for whatever reason. Right,
because otherwise you'll just be miserable.
Passing out.
What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, especially if they're movies that we're picking because they're probably average at best.
Yep.
Or goofy.
So that, combined with the fact that Alien vs. Predator is 21% on Rotten Tomatoes and Freddy vs. Jason is 41%, we figured pretty safe to go with AVP first.
Yeah.
So we'll do a quick overview of the movie so that you know kind of what we're talking about when we get to our scoring system. Alien vs. Predator starts out, I think, in 1904, right? It's supposed to be 100-year.
Yeah,
it starts off with a flashback, 1904, with a William H. Macy stand-in. Both Eric and I excitedly said...
When it first shows, and I was like, wait a second, is that William H. Macy?
He kind of looks like William H. Macy from Shameless. He's got this, crazy...
Only for a half second,
Yeah, then you realize, he's too young. But it was fun to imagine that we were going to see William H. Macy.
Frank Gallagher is fighting the Predators.
Yeah, so it's some base in Antarctica, and I honestly... I don't even remember what happens in the opening, in that scene.
He must get killed. There's just a predator and it kills him.
Yeah, okay. Riveting. So we really could have used without
Predators
that,
wanted some whale blubber.
We get to see 1904 William H. Macy's get killed by something.
You know what that made me think of too, though, is that in the original Predator movie, they were talking about how the predator only comes during the hottest times of the year, or the hottest years.
Yeah.
And then they're going to a whaling station in Antarctica.
Yeah, and I made the mistake of watching the original Alien the day before we watched Alien vs. Predator, so I got to really do a comparison of how they fucked up the original mythology just to make it, I guess, more extreme. So anyway, after a nice little flashback, we go to present day, which for Alien vs. Predator is 2004. There, we go to a satellite monitoring station in Nebraska, I think.
Well, it's just a quick cut. It just shows the Wayland satellite, and then it shows the array in Nebraska. So it's just here's satellites. This is where the satellite bone connects to the knee bone. And it's
I really didn't.
I'm surprised they didn't show electricity coursing through a wire for a split second.
Yeah, Black Hat style. Oh, you never even saw that.
I saw that. I don't give movies 5 extra points because Chris Hemsworth's in them. Sorry.
This audience doesn't know my Hemsworth.
Well, they do now.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's no Hemsworth in this one, so it's not getting any extra points for that. We really didn't need to know that this satellite station was in Nebraska. I just remember because I was like, I haven't thought about that state in a while. But anyway, there's a satellite monitoring station there.
Warren Buffett from Nebraska.
Is he?
The Oracle of Omaha. Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. If you guys need some financial advice, hit me up.
I know where Warren Buffett is from. You can trust me.
Yeah, exactly. I know what a mutual fund expense ratio is, so give me your money.
Anyway, back to Alien vs. Predator. So at the satellite monitoring station, they see some sort of heat signature that shows that somewhere
a heat balloon under the ice.
Yeah, somewhere
did you even watch this movie, Toni?
Barely. And I was not real happy the whole time.
McFly, you in there, McFly?
Yeah, spoiler alert, I didn't like this movie, it turns out. Which, I saw it before, and it didn't bother me then, but I was just, I was not happy with it this time.
Yeah, it's funny because, and without getting into any specific ratings, there's nothing, it's hard to point out very specific bad things about this movie, but it's very unsatisfying by the time you're done with it.
It is. It really is.
Because you're I'm pretty tolerant for schlocky, cheap action movies that just deliver a few, but it's just not. Everything's just unsatisfying.
Yeah. So we'll expound on that a little bit more.
Those desserts that are just they look really good, and then you bite them, and they're all hard wedding cake icing.
Yeah, like at a Chinese buffet
Yeah,
where it's like a
exactly.
dish sponge with icing.
Yeah. A dish sponge with like crystallized sugar on top.
Yeah.
With sugarless sugar.
Yeah, and
you're like, yeah.
And as you're chewing it, you wonder how you got to this point in
Right.
life that you're even trying this.
And still eating it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm still eating this.
Yeah,
Why am I still eating this?
I can't spit it out, I guess. I could,
Right.
but I'm not gonna. So anyway, Heat Bloom, which somehow tells them, oh, there's a pyramid 2,000 feet under the ice in Antarctica. The head of Wayland Corporation, who is Lance Henriksen, and they are very proud that his character's name is something Bishop Wayland, in case we didn't all remember.
And they even
that
did
he
a thing
was
where he
Bishop.
like does his knife on the desk really quick.
Yeah.
For, like, that was one thing I even wrote down was they had too many little like throwaway reference stuff like that. They're like, we get it, all right. It's Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a character in some other thing and they're like, oh, Bishop, ooh, that's a nice Easter egg. It's the same fucking universe.
No, it was like the Easter egg came crashing out of the sky and broke on top of your head and
Right.
just annoyed you and got you covered in
Right, and then
egg.
Alien's figures spilled out. And they're like, buy this, it comes with extra slime.
Aren't we clever? This is so clever.
It slimes him.
Right. So anyway, they show us that Wayland, Bishop Wayland, which is only his middle name. His name's not Bishop, but they just call him Wayland the whole time.
But just so you know that 200 years later, they name a artificial human after his middle name, apparently.
It's his legacy, I guess.
One who looks exactly like him, too.
So he decides that just because there's a pyramid under the ice, that he wants to be the first one to go explore it. So
Well, yeah,
he has
because
to.
it would be some huge archaeological find. So
Yeah,
that
sure.
makes sense.
Sure. So he assembles a team of crack experts in all of their various fields, which are very poorly defined.
Right.
One of them is just a scientist who knows everything about anything to do with
The
science.
Scottish guy.
Yeah. His only character trait is that he is Scottish and takes pictures.
Yeah, they
of
say he's a
things.
doctor, but they never say in what in.
No, not in anything. But every time he looks at anything remotely biological, he knows everything about it. If he
Right.
picks up a bone, he knows everything about that bone and what broke that bone and how old it is, and it just. But then he says, yeah, it's just very silly. So we've got the scientist. He goes and finds an archaeologist, which I thought was funny because the introduction to the archaeologist is showing how bad he is at
fails.
archaeology.
He finds a bottle cap
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
advanced civilization.
So thank you for showing that this is your expert. The only thing we've seen him do is fail at his job.
Well, they're trying to set up why he needed Wayland's money. Because they like didn't want to keep funding the dig because he didn't find anything. But
Yeah.
it does just make him look like a fuck up.
It does, yeah. Obviously, we know he's supposed to be really good, but I just thought their introduction to him was funny. He is.
And then they have Ice Queen.
I mean, his character trait is that he is Italian, and
Right.
his name is Sebastian, and I know that because the girl screams it a bunch as he's getting killed. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers! Jesus!
Yeah.
I was gonna
sorry.
watch this again. I slept through it the first time.
I've only seen it 3 times. I gotta get it up to 5.
You're right. It has been 3 times.
Oh God, I'm
It's almost
so
as many
sorry.
times as I've watched She's All That.
I would definitely watch She's All That before watching Alien vs. Predator again. And then they introduce us. The last character that gets an introduction is what turns out to be our main character, who is a woman who is an ice expedition expert. She takes parties through ice and mountains and stuff. I don't actually know what her official...
She was just a guide, like
Yeah,
a
a
guide for
guide.
ice climbing and hikes and stuff like that.
I'm not entirely sure of her name. I think it was Lex. I remember somebody yelling
something like
that. And she turns out to be our main character, much to my chagrin. I really did not care for her. Anyway.
I don't think she's in anything else. She was an interesting choice for this movie because, like, they have other actors who are, like, relatively known. Like, they got Lance Henriksen. Even the scientist guy, he's been in other things. You know, but this chick is, like, out of nowhere, and she's not particularly good.
I looked her up. She's in other stuff, just not the genres that we would normally be watching. So she's got plenty of acting credits on IMDb, just absolutely nothing I've ever seen her in, and she wasn't good. We'll talk
not
about that a
particularly
little bit
good.
more
Yeah.
later, but I didn't like her at all.
Yeah.
So Wayland assembles this team of the smartest people in the world who also
All
like money.
experts in their field.
Yeah, brings them to Antarctica, and
You like science and money?
yeah, they get there, and then they get to the pyramid, and they find out somebody else is already there.
Which showed the Predators blast a laser beam through the ice.
Right. So one of the things they were going to do is they were going to get there, and they thought they were going to have to dig 2,000 feet to the pyramid. Turns out it was already done, so they go sliding down into the pyramid, which actually looked a little bit fun.
It would be fun.
wouldn't-
Big
wouldn't
ice
have-
tunnel.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded doing
I would
that.
slide that.
So they get there. Oh shit! Someone else has already been here. The next 20 minutes is them wandering around.
Well, I thought was funny is that they were like, this hole wasn't here 24 hours ago. It's 2,000 feet in the ice. There's no team on Earth that can, the drilling guys are like, there's nothing on Earth that can do this in 24 hours. And they're like, huh, oh well.
Yeah,
and then they just jump in the
all
hole.
All right, let's go. It couldn't possibly be that dangerous.
Well, not even that. They just don't even discuss, like, so what the fuck did happen here?
Yeah. So, long story short, predators show up. The aliens start breeding in the people, and the predators kill the aliens, and the people die from either predators or aliens, and it's all very exciting.
Pretty much everyone dies from aliens.
Yeah. They figure out over the course of it that the predators have been doing this for thousands of years.
But only once every 100 years.
Only once every 100 years, but they started thousands of years ago.
Which I thought was funny, because they said it's like a coming-of-age thing, a hunt for the teenage predators, basically. So I'm like, some of them get to go in the woods and kill like 1 or 2 humans, like in the original Predator, and some have to come into a secret ice pyramid and fight off hundreds of aliens.
Well, I was under the impression that every Predator had to go to the ice pyramid
and then they just do the jungle with Arnold for fun?
Yes, because those weren't supposed to be every 100 years. Because
no,
remember
that was
back to the original
years.
Predator, it was just whenever it was hot, these things would show up and kill other men.
The demons who make trophies of men.
Right, sure. And
this is a movie that wastes times of men.
What?
I said this is the movie that wastes time of men.
Yeah. Okay, I get it now. Had to think about it.
Yeah, so a lot of it doesn't make sense. They wanted to come up with their own Predator lore, but it doesn't fit with.
They did. It's not very interesting. It's not very interesting to watch the people figure this out, but the archaeologist figures it out by reading various hieroglyphics around the temple. They try to make it interesting with the temple being a big maze.
And it changes every 10 minutes.
Yeah, and obviously the thing they care about most is the titular predator, or alien versus predator fights. In the end, the woman's the only one to survive, and the predator who we get to know the most gets infected by an alien, so it ends with a scene of a chest burster.
He gets killed first, and the predators take his body.
Yeah.
And then a little predator bursts out, or alien bursts out, but has a predator face, which made me unreasonably angry. I was like, this is so stupid. Why does it have a fucking predator face?
Like,
it has the predator mandibles.
It was like, we sat through that whole movie for this.
Yeah, you could tell that was the image that popped into someone's head when they were like, fuck, we need to make an alien versus predator. Now, I will say, I don't know if you knew this, but this was based off a video game.
Oh,
the whole Alien versus Predator idea was an old video game.
Oh, okay.
Where they were just like, oh, cool, we'll make an alien. And they just decided to take 2 concepts, put it together, and when you're you could be human, alien, or predator. When you're the alien, your advantage was you could walk all over the walls, like in 360 degrees. The Predator's advantage was it could see heat, it could see the alien, it could do different vision things. And I don't know what the human's advantage was.
So you had said something.
Remember.
You had said something while I was bitching during the movie about the aliens are able to take on characteristics of how this was established somewhere. And
I don't remember that.
Never...
I thought I'd heard them. I thought they mentioned that somewhere that they could this may have been outside of the movies.
Yeah, maybe that was in the video game, or maybe it was in one of the later Alien movies. I never saw Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection.
Neither did I. I just thought I'd heard that somewhere that they were supposed to be evolved the best traits of all these other species. I don't know.
But it delighted me because it made me think of an alien coming out of a person with people teeth, like big white chiclet teeth.
Instead of that punching thing?
Yeah, instead of the
it's
punching thing.
Yeah. Stop! Evolution, stop!
So that's how it ends. All right, let's get into the main part of this podcast, which is that we're going to score this movie the meat of the podcast. We're going to score this movie in 3 different categories: acting, visuals, and structure. In each category, we can give it 0 to 5 points. At the end, we'll add up all the points given to each movie by each host, and whichever one gets the most points wins.
Yeah.
All right, so starting off with acting, what was your acting score?
I said 2 because there was times that were I didn't like the main character, which is funny because she was probably one of the worst performances in the movie, but it's the one that it focuses on the most. Obviously people like Lance Henriksen is fine. A couple of the minor security type characters were a little stiff, but nothing too bad.
Yeah.
But just overall, it was below average.
Yeah,
I'd say.
You were a little more forgiving of it than I was. I said 1.5, so not a lot lower.
You think it was that bad?
I think it was that bad, but only because if there was. So Eric is right. We spent most of our time with this character Lex.
And she was pretty wooden.
She was so bad. She reminded me of an American Girl doll that they put winter clothing on and said, "This is an explorer, yay!" She never changed her facial expression. She always had this facial expression of fairly placid, and I would say almost pleasant facial expression. She really did look like a doll to me.
Pleasant, but a little constipated.
Yeah. Pleasant, but with some consternation.
I haven't food in 3 days.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
Yeah. And I know what they were trying to get at with her. They were trying to make her confident and fearless.
Sort of like a Ripley type.
Yeah, they completely
they
failed.
didn't do
She
it.
was horribly cast.
Yeah.
Maybe this girl could be fine in something else. They put the weight of the movie on her shoulders, and she has to do things like interact with nonverbal characters.
Like the Predators and...
Right, so it's kind of unfair. They took a very weak actress and they put her in a role that's actually kind of difficult, and she could not do it. So
especially
she was,
with like limited and cheesy dialogue and stuff like that. You would need some nuance.
Absolutely. So she was supposed to be confident and fearless. She came across as like entitled because she was always trying to take over and like the security team for Wayland would say something. They'd say, "We need to go into this room," and she'd go, "We stay together. We do what I say." Why?
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I mean. They're trying to do the Ripley thing where she takes over because everyone else is panicking, and she's just like, she doesn't want to, but she's just like, look, we have to do this.
Except the problem here is other people also wanted to take over.
Right. So it just made her seem like she was just...
It was entitled. It came across as entitled. I can't even call it bratty because her emotions were not high enough to be bratty. Right. It just was like, no, I think I should be the one leading it because I am the guy.
They did put a little bit of backstory in that she is typically the one who is in charge when it comes to expeditions. That's why she was supposed to be there, is in charge of movement and things like that.
Yeah, but once something starts attacking you,
it's a different
it's just
situation.
no longer a guided tour up a mountain.
Well, they even had that moment where they're like, the guys, they realize this shit's going crazy, and the guys pull out their guns, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "My job, thanks. So you're done here." And she's like, "No, I'm in charge."
Yeah, I'm the guide.
Right. And he's like,
do you typically guide people through battles?
Then stand in front with your pickaxe.
Yeah,
and I'll be behind you with the MP5.
Right, sure. And she also, because she never got like an upset facial expression, she also came across as almost medicated. Because it seemed like she didn't really understand the severity of the situation.
Like she was either like freaking out or just didn't...
She never freaked out. There was one point
freaking out in the sense that you're like catatonic, like you're just like frozen up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, because there was one point she was falling off a ledge and it showed her face because someone went to grab her and she just had that same American Girl face on. I guess she's just so damn fearless.
Maybe she's all Botoxed or something.
If she wasn't so young, I would have thought that.
Because she is young. She's probably mid-20s or something.
Yeah, she didn't have the Botox look, but she had the Botox.
she had the look in that she doesn't make enough expressions, but it didn't look like she's someone who would have had Botox.
Yeah. So I thought, she was very bad, and she was poorly cast, and she was the one that we had to spend the most time with.
And there's very, very little chemistry in any of these characters.
Absolutely not.
Like, they're trying to set up like her and the Italian guy are kind of like, maybe could be a thing, but you don't get any sense of
they
real...
tried it for half a second, and it went nowhere. The Italian guy on his own is fine. He didn't bother me, but he was not in it enough to make up for...
That's the thing. They make every other character almost is a throwaway. Mm-hmm. They build a little bit up with the Italian guy and the Scottish guy, but they eventually die too. And then and her is the one that is all of that emotional gravitas that you're supposed to get out of a movie about why you care, what happens, is supposed to come from her, and you don't get anything.
And she was just the wrong person.
Yeah.
So there are really only 3 actors worth talking about. We've talked about 2 of them. The third one, Lance Henriksen as Wayland. I mean, he was sleepwalking through it.
Yeah.
So obviously he's a good actor. We've seen him in plenty of stuff. But I couldn't bring myself to give it the full 2 because I was just so tired of looking at her face by the end of it. All right, so you gave it a 2. I gave it a 1.5. All right, how'd you feel about the visuals?
I thought the visuals were 2 also. Because I like some of them, but some of them just... Like, in terms of quality of the visuals, I didn't have a problem with it. Like, special effects and stuff, at least for the time, there was no issue with me from that. But just in terms of, like, impact and what they were going for, a lot of it fell flat.
I completely agree with you. I also gave it a 2. It was mostly just underwhelming.
That's what I mean. And they would do stuff that they thought was really cool or meaningful, and they'd maybe do it too often. Like, there was like 8 times that they showed like Predator vision looking at the gun going in their backpack, and I'm like, we get it.
Yeah.
He knows he has the gun, and they're following it. You don't have to show this fucking thing 20 times.
Exactly. Yeah, there was nothing impressive with the visuals. Everything looked like a set. It took place in Antarctica, and it didn't even look cold.
Right, it looked like that spray foam ice and stuff.
You never got a sense that these people were actually cold. It didn't help that she's running around in a sweater and gloves.
Well, I mean,
she's dressed for a Florida winter.
In the movie, they made the point of showing that the pyramid itself heated up, so they weren't supposed to be cold inside the pyramid.
I forgot about that. But there is a point that they're outside the pyramid,
go back outside,
and she's still in a sweater and gloves, and she doesn't look uncomfortable.
And this is presumably like negative or below zero temperatures.
Right. She doesn't look uncomfortable at all. There's no breath. There's no nothing. So everything looks like a set. Most of the CG, especially with the aliens, is fine.
The special effects are fine. Yeah.
Some of the special effects with the Predator ships were pretty bad, but this was 13 years ago.
That's what I mean. Within the context and how brief those were, they didn't really impact the movie too much.
Yeah, none of the actors are especially attractive, so you can't get too much enjoyment out of that.
Nothing good eye candy.
There's just nothing to look at in this movie, and especially because there's no emotional weight to anything. You don't even care about the fights. It makes the action
scenes kind of fall flat, yeah.
Right, so I completely agree with you.
They don't do a good job. I mean, this is more structure anyway. They don't do a good job of even setting up you really caring if the Predators or aliens win. I mean, you sort of lean towards Predators just because they're humanoid.
Yeah.
And that the aliens are just insects, so no one's going to, like, hope that they win unless they're
you lean toward Predators because at least they'll leave. You know, the whole...
Also, you think of them as, like, actually thinking about what's going on. Yeah. They're like another person. They're just an alien person.
It's kind of like person versus bug.
Or bear. So, like Starship Troopers or something.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about structure officially now. What do you think about that?
I gave it a 2, which I think was probably a little generous, but it was, for the most part, fairly straightforward, so it was hard to make it, like, they didn't have a lot of, like, weird continuity errors. The plot made sense, it just wasn't great. Like, it's really hard for me to go below a 2 if everything made sense and I just didn't like what they did with it.
So I had to go, again, like with the acting, I had to go below a 2 because it actively annoyed me the whole time. I did a 1.5.
It was annoying, but in terms of, I mean, some of that's just preference for me.
All of the dialogue was just exposition from the various experts. So someone would walk into a room, and the room would have some archaeological evidence. So the archaeologists walk in and go, "This is what I see from blah, 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 blah." And then they'd walk out of that room, and they'd walk into another room, and there'd be some bones, and the scientists would walk forward and go, "This is what I see with all of my expertise."
They did a terrible job of, like, the movie explaining it to you. Everything was done via, like, narration. Not, like, dubbed over narration, but, like, the people would say to the other character, "This is what this," and then these aliens must come down every 300 years or whatever.
They overtly explained everything. The characters had no place in this story except to explain this new mythos with the Predator being part of the ancient tribal sacrifices because of the alien. Yeah, because...
You know, I think you're right. I'm changing mine to 1.5.
I'm so convincing. My goodness.
Well, no, I just forgot about all the little shit that was wrong with it.
No, I put a lot of thought into this because...
I should have done it right after the movie.
Because after I finished watching it, I was like, why did I dislike this so much?
Right.
And it just... These little things annoyed me so much. So the dialogue was bad. The characterization was terrible, which made it so that we did not care about anything that was going on.
Because you don't care if they live or die.
Exactly.
You almost just want to see them get fucked up by aliens and predators.
Everything is inconsequential in this movie.
Right.
If the Predator wins and kills all the aliens, then whatever, the Predator leaves. And the characters kept saying, we have to help the Predator win because then these aliens, they can't get to the surface and get to the rest of the world. You're in Antarctica.
Right.
What is the alien going to do? Can they swim? If they get in the water, they already show that they basically freeze in the water. Yeah. So they're stuck in probably the only place on Earth that you would feel safe having them stuck.
They didn't give any reason to know, like, yeah, they know that they're scary monsters, but they have no idea, like, anything else about them. Why would they think that these creatures would be able to take over the Earth or something?
Right. So if the alien wins, okay, this one island off the coast of Antarctica is going to be overrun with these shitty things. No one goes to this island anyway. The predators will probably come back and kill them anyway because they'll be pissed off that their
class of 2004
got was such a failure and didn't actually kill the aliens that they'll come back down. And then even when our main character makes it out alive, okay, great. She's standing in a damn sweater and gloves in the middle of Antarctica. What the hell is she gonna do? She's dead anyway.
I guess they had those. They had gotten there, so they probably would have those tanks and stuff.
I guess her expertise as a guide will help her fly a helicopter and drive a tank, and she's just gonna die.
Maybe they have a radio. I don't know.
Yeah, she's just gonna die out there.
Yeah,
especially dressed the way that she was. The way that she was dressed, she would have been uncomfortable in Boston around Thanksgiving time.
Yeah, exactly. Let alone Antarctica.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't have even made it 10 minutes outside.
And they even said it was a storm too.
Right. The whole thing was just. Nothing made any difference in this movie. Yeah. So the only reason for the movie being, which was to watch aliens fighting predators, meant nothing because the outcome meant nothing. So it was just like a video game. And
the dialogue was bad. I don't like what they did with a lot of like the Predator mythology. They changed some of that shit in ways that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The one thing they didn't mess up too bad was the movie plot-wise was very on the nose, overly explained by the characters, but it did make sense at least. Like there are some movies like Suicide Squad that like you're literally like, wait, what? Wait, why? What? Huh? It wasn't like that. Like you realize what's happening. It's just dumb.
I think both of us are going to use Suicide Squad a lot.
Well, to me, it's a perfect example of like
because it's about as bad as you can get. It's hard to imagine
a studio movie that you would go see in the theater being any worse than that.
Yes.
So it's hard. So that's why I use it as a baseline.
Yeah, the structure of this is not as bad as Suicide Squad.
No, because it made sense. It was just dumb.
It made sense, but it bored me. I was so...
It was boring. It was on the nose.
It
was like...
This is an hour-and-a-half long movie. I shouldn't be bored.
I guarantee... especially a sci-fi action movie.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be bored.
Oh, also, you know what else took away that half point? PG-13. This is a movie that's mashing up two classic rated R movies.
Right, and then they make it PG-13.
And you're gonna,
well, like I said, it was because it was off a video game.
No, I understand. And they wanted all the teenagers to come pay
They got their
for
one
it.
F-bomb in there somewhere.
They did. They didn't even do the one ugly motherfucker.
Yeah, they did. Yes, she did. That's what
she didn't finish saying motherfucker.
Oh, they didn't?
No, I wrote it down.
Come on.
So the one F-bomb was her going, when the Predator gets out the bomb to kill all the aliens, she goes, I hope it kills every fucking one of them. And I remembered it because I went, that was her only good line delivery in this entire movie. And that was their one F-bomb because this is a lame PG-13 movie that is boring in every aspect. So yeah, I really dislike this one. I don't think...
At least FVJ was rated R.
Right. I'm already giving it away. I'm giving FVJ like advantage for being rated R, actually.
That's a good point.
All right, so
I didn't even think about that.
Let's go ahead and total up the points on this one. You gave acting a 2.
I gave 1.5.
So I gave it a 5, you gave it a 5.5.
Pretty
so really
close.
The only place we disagreed was I was more annoyed by the acting. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Freddy vs. Jason, which is...
We'll start over. And you hadn't seen... I'll do this one.
Okay.
Because you did the last one.
Do you want my notes?
You have notes?
I have notes.
My notes are all up here, man.
Oh, Eric has a much better memory than I do.
I don't know. If I miss anything, you let me know.
Okay, I'll fill in.
So we open on... No, but you haven't seen... you hadn't seen a lot of the movies that these are based on either. Like, you've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street. And they actually did a pretty good job explaining the basic plot of like Freddy and stuff and what's going on. Because they did do an opening.
I appreciated the opening. Because...
this movie, for the most part, knew what it was. Also, for those of you who don't know, so like... In the Nightmare on Elm Street mythology, he was like a child molester, whatever.
So Freddy is from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
Jason is from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, which everyone knows that, except for
I
you.
didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I knew it, but I always get Jason mixed up with Michael Myers because
they
wear masks and they kill people with pointy things.
I told her it's a Shatner mask versus a hockey mask, and it's a kitchen knife versus some ever increasingly large machete.
If you gave me like a matching game and you put
out.
I would have known which one was Michael Myers,
but not which one was
Jason.
from Halloween and which one was from Friday the 13th.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I have only seen the first Friday the 13th.
Which actually does not even have Jason in it.
Sure.
It's his mom.
Yeah. And I've never... Which is probably why I didn't know which one Jason was.
Doesn't even have a hockey mask or anything
I've never
in that
seen
one.
any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I'm not, in general, a slasher horror movie fan.
Right.
So I felt like it was maybe a little bit unfair for me to try to...
Right.
Yeah.
But he dies. That was in the first movie. I guess he's already dead. And then so he has power in your dreams. And the more afraid of him you are, the more power he has. And he can kill you through your dreams. But so in the opening of the movie, everyone's forgotten about him, so he doesn't have any power. So he's like, I need to make them afraid so that they'll start talking about me and I'll get more power. So he resurrects Jason to start killing people.
Yeah, sends him out like a dog or
and
something.
On Elm Street, so when people start talking, like, oh my God, murders are happening again. Is it Freddy Krueger? And then they start getting afraid and he gets more power. But then he comes back and Jason doesn't stop killing everybody because he's just a mindless,
so he's mad.
Demonic automaton. So he, automaton? How do you say that?
Automaton?
Automaton, there you go. And he gets pissed off, and he's like, you're taking all my killing, so then they start fighting.
Yeah.
And then the people who are the 25-year-old, 16-year-olds quickly figure out that they would rather have Jason.
Right.
Because he's at least, in real life, he's up there, you can run and stuff, you can at least sleep. So they try to pull Freddy out into the real world to get him to fight Jason.
Yeah.
And that's our end fight.
I definitely... agreed with them on the I'd rather deal with Jason
Same here.
because the idea of not being able to sleep
It's so
is
miserable.
so,
Yeah, it's so
mortifying, so fucking terrible that I was like, whatever, I'll put myself in a bomb shelter for a little
Right.
while. He goes on a rampage.
You can
He'll
at
kill
least
some other
close a
people.
door, yeah.
My understanding, can Freddy get multiple people at a time in dreams? He can do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
So
don't
no
really-
one can sleep. How horrible. Oh my god.
Yeah, the movies are like, it's one of those things that's why they did that, is because he can do all sorts of crazy shit, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's real, but it's not real kind of thing.
Like Eric said, our 25-year-old, 16-year-olds are... Lori is our main character. She
reminds me of somebody, but I don't know who it is.
She just looks like a lot of different people, because I tried to figure it out myself, and she's kind of got like Angelina Jolie lips, and she's almost got a little bit of a...
But she's like the
Emily
oldest.
Browning
She's like
thing
the
going
oldest
on.
of the looking of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's like supposed to be 18, because they said
Right.
it's 4 years after she was 14.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be seniors in high school. None of them are teenagers, clearly. So you have her. She lives with her dad. Her mom died in a quote-unquote
What's her name? May
car
have been
accident.
a teenager. The one chick with that
girl
was
from
from Supernatural. Yeah,
She
may
might
be,
have been.
She may have been 20.
Yeah, she probably was the youngest of all of them.
Destiny's Child was in there.
Yeah, we had Kelly Rowland in the non-actor
Her acting was bad.
role. Go ahead and get into acting. So give me your...
I gave it a 1.5. To me, it was noticeably bad from a lot of the characters. I think that Kelly Rowland really made it a lot worse.
Folks, we have our first big disagreement here.
You thought it was better
We're having
than...
a domestic dispute over here.
Yeah.
I gave it a 3.
Really?
I thought it was fine.
I mean, overall it was, but there was a
horror movie
few...
acting.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
and, Robert, is it Englund, whatever, who plays Freddy? I really like...
Englund?
Englund?
Yeah.
I really like him. He's always good. I didn't mind... but the main chick was not very good.
She at least screamed and looked scared and stuff.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah, so I gave it a 3 because I didn't think it was noticeable either way. Okay,
I thought it was
Kelly
pretty
Rowland
bad.
was bad.
I think she pissed me off more than...
She was having a good time, though. She didn't
That's
piss
true.
me off. She was kind of having fun with the role.
I'd say
she just,
for a horror movie, it was the 3. For like a... Overall, it was a 1.5,
I think I grade all of these on like a curve. You know,
I don't tend to.
This is
I guess.
This is a horror movie that has a goofy tone, that knows what it is. They're not bringing, Meryl Streep in there.
Yeah.
They
I mean, it was fine. It worked. It didn't ruin the movie.
It really.
But I think there was just a couple people that were bad enough that I was just like, ugh.
I grade things based on my emotional reaction to them, and
I mean, I could have gone as high as a 2, but I don't think I would have done 3.
Yeah,
because a 3 is you don't notice it.
I don't know that I would have noticed it other than Kelly Rowland.
Yeah, but you did notice it. That means it can't be a 3.
Some of the other people were good enough that they made up for it. So
yeah, but it's not
Robert Englund is
right,
in
but
his
it's not an
classic
opportunity
role. He's doing
it's
his,
not an
"My
opportunity
role,
to be
bitch."
like so good that it makes up for like they're very
It's fine.
competent.
We don't have to agree.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that there's that much of a disparity. So what'd you think about the visuals?
I put 3. I liked it.
Okay.
I thought it was average.
I gave it average on that too.
Yeah, there was some that I really liked, and then obviously some that were kind of cheap because it was a
Yeah, I mean this one benefits.
bad CG on a few parts.
This one benefits from, since half the movie is in a dream, it doesn't have to look realistic and great.
Right.
So fantastical things are happening anyway. As long as it's not annoying you with how it looks, it kind of is okay. There are a couple of boobs in there.
Right, which
at
I was
the
just
beginning.
thinking that like it used to be you could go see an R-rated horror movie and you'd see at least 3 or 4 boobs.
This one only had 2. You had the boobs right at the beginning, and then you had a top shot of boobs in the shower.
And then there was
that
also
wasn't even the
a
actress.
dead boobs at one point.
Dead boobs?
It showed like a dying body in a mirror or something, and there was boobs. Yeah.
Oh,
I
missed
see all boobs.
Eric has much more sensitive boob radar than me. I missed the dead boobs.
But we both noticed that it definitely was not the actress in the shower. That was a body double.
Definitely not. Yeah, she didn't even. Yeah, she didn't even have the same general body shape as
exactly.
her. So that was an obvious body double, and they were taking great pains not to show her face.
Right. It's just forehead and boobs.
Right. So the visuals, yeah, we both gave it a 3. The actors were better looking than in Alien vs. Predator. They had to make them a little bit better.
The
looking.
makeup effects and stuff were fine.
Right.
They had pretty cool. Like,
I don't really like the way that Freddy looks. He looks cheap and plasticky to me, but I think that that's consistent with the other
and they
movies.
have to put like an entire mask that they can redo.
As the resident Jason expert in this household that doesn't really know much about it, does Jason always look like an orc?
Well, he's like I said, he's mutated. His face,
Okay.
he's not always like. They made him like gray in this
Yeah,
one.
he looked like an orc.
Which,
he had
like,
weird wispy white hair.
But I mean, he's always like lumpy face with
he?
like sloth looking, with like bald
Okay.
with like some hairs coming out.
Okay,
like,
so that's fairly consistent.
yeah, he's supposed to be all fucked up looking.
All right, fair enough.
He's not necessarily all ashen like that always.
Yeah,
but
it just struck me as
he's always
odd.
like a big mutant,
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So.
and he's always like ratty clothes
Yeah.
and stuff.
And I think none of the kills were especially thrilling, but
No,
it
all
was
pretty
at least,
straightforward.
It was
I mean,
at
you get
least rated R.
decapitations and-
Yeah, a lot of everything involved either the
It was
machete
fun to
or
watch
the
Jason like smashing everybody. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's gigantic.
yeah. Okay, so moving on to structure, what'd you think about that?
I said 3 because again, it was very, very straightforward, but it did a good job doing, and it actually was, especially for a horror movie, it was fairly competent in terms of like a little more in depth.
Yeah.
Decent. I kind of like the plot. I mean, they did a good job. You can tell they just came up with this idea, like, let's Freddy versus Jason.
Right.
Wow. But they actually did a good job of making it work in a way that wasn't like, oh my god. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you, but I gave it a 2 because
Okay.
it bored me at the end.
See, it didn't bore me.
I definitely got noticeably bored at the end. I was actually pretty on board for all the character stuff at the beginning.
Yeah.
I liked these characters reasonably well. I didn't want any of them to die.
Right.
I was rooting for them. I liked their little plan. I actually was even mildly interested in the mystery around what happened with her mom.
Right.
And
Yeah,
you
so
know,
that's the stuff I mean. They actually did a good job of
Right.
of them like figuring out the deal with Freddy and Jason and all
I
this
gotta
stuff.
admit, once Freddy started actually fighting Jason, I checked out.
I think the only
I
reason
did
because
not
they
care.
they had a little bit of a problem where all right, they're both fighting, and then you stop and thinking, well, they're both like fucking invincible.
That was exactly that.
So like, what the hell is gonna happen?
That was exactly why. There were just these.
So then you're just watching it for the visuals there,
were
which are
these
fun.
Very long fight
but like
scenes.
there's like 7 or 8 movies of each of these people being impossible to kill.
Right.
And like they would do that. Like he'd dump rebar on him and he'd be pinned to the ground. You're like, you don't care because you know he can't really be killed.
Exactly.
So like what is winning or losing
I
here?
think it also bored me. So I always like to know what rules I'm operating in whatever movie world I'm
But that's what I mean.
watching.
You don't know
And
what it would take
I
to
don't-
win.
Yeah, so I don't understand what could possibly end this fight or how these people could be killed. So I kind of don't care. I just want it to stop.
Right. They should have. That's the one thing they could have done is had some sort of end game, like that they needed something to happen for both of it, like a portal to be
Yeah.
opened or something so that they can get close to it and then pull back and like a little bit of tension. Because
Yeah.
like you said, once they're there, they're fighting each other other than the people. The kind of the stress element is removed and you're
Yeah.
just watching it, but you're also like, so now what? They're just going to beat each other up forever? Like,
Yeah, for until the end of time,
Right.
until the sun explodes and the Earth dies.
But
in
it wasn't
space
that
alone.
long. It was just one. I mean, it was fun to watch two like supernatural entities fight, but
Yeah.
they needed to add a little bit more there to make it some sort of potential resolution could
weight,
happen.
some-
Something that
yeah.
you know, like, oh, this is what needs to happen, or this can't happen, or something. I don't know.
Right. It also doesn't help that I
But
don't
I gave it a-
I don't fully understand what happens to Freddy when he comes into the real world. So I was under the
I don't
impression
know if that's ever
I was under
happened
the
before.
impression that if they brought him into the real world, which they succeed in doing, then you'll be able to kill him like a regular person.
No.
And they couldn't do that. Then he and Jason just fought for another 20 minutes.
Right.
And then after even if killing him, you could kill him in the real world. Then what were they going to do with Jason? Then
Right.
Jason was just going to run off and keep
But he
killing
was already in the-
26-year-old teenagers.
In the real world anyway, so either way they're gonna have to deal with that.
Right. No,
but
I
they
agreed
didn't
with
set
them
up
and
something. They
everything.
needed to set up something that they were trying to do.
I will say another reason I gave it a 2 because one of the backstories of the characters, Will, who is our male lead, was supposed to have seen Laurie's mom get killed by Laurie's dad. And
Right.
the police force in the town were trying to cover up all the Freddy murders.
'Cause they knew that if people
So
talked
they
about
supposedly
him-
put this kid, Will, away in an insane asylum for 4 years. And
Right.
no one knew where he went. They just thought his family moved away.
They didn't deal with his
never even
family,
talked
yeah.
about his family. It was like, does this kid, did they murder the rest of
Like
his
she
family?
doesn't know where he goes, but they never talk about his mom or
she
his
just thought
dad.
he moved away and didn't write to her, and then they were
Right.
she was mad at him because he was supposed to be her true love. So I was like, so he was locked away for 4 years. They just murdered his parents, or did they make his parents move away? What the hell
Yeah,
happened?
they didn't
They
explain
didn't deal with
that.
that at all. So stuff like that I just felt like story structure was noticeably lacking, and also I was bored with the fight scenes. So that's why I had to give it a 2.
Okay.
All right, so you said
I said 1.5, 3, 3.
7.5. and I gave it an 8.
You gave it an 8?
Yeah, because I gave it 3 for acting, 3 for visuals, and 2 for story.
Oh, 2. You just switched with one was 2.
And I gave it advantage for actually being
an
rated
R-rated
R.
movie,
But
not being shy about it.
I mean, both of us scored this higher than the other one, so it's not going to
we're only off by
advantage.
half a point.
Okay, so Alien vs. Predator, we gave a 10.5 between the two of us. Freddy vs. Jason, we gave a 15.5 between the two of us. So Freddy vs. Jason is the clear winner here.
Clear winner.
I don't think surprised either of us,
Nope.
but I am surprised.
Has boobs, has R rating.
I am surprised at how much better I liked Freddy
Yeah,
vs. Jason
it was
than Alien vs.
significantly
Predator. I was surprised by how
Just based
little.
on the ridiculous... It's a more ridiculous premise that's not based on anything.
Yeah.
For me, I was wondering who owned these properties. I guess they were both the same studio, or did they do a crossover?
Oh, I don't know. You mean between each of the
Between
movies?
Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy.
Oh.
I mean, and Jason.
Oh, I have absolutely no idea. One thing I have picked up on, someone who made this
I think
movie...
Alien and Predator were both Warner Brothers movies, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I have no idea. But someone who made Freddy vs. Jason must also be involved in Supernatural, because there were a couple of the characters in the movie who were from the show Supernatural. The slutty teenage girl.
Oh, you mean a couple of the actors, not characters?
Yeah. No, sorry. The couple of the actors. The slutty teenage girl who actually might have been a teenager. And then his friend from the insane asylum were both on Supernatural. And then a couple years after this movie, when they did a remake of Friday the 13th, Jared Padalecki was one of the main characters in that movie, and it was the same character. Yeah, that has nothing to do with this movie.
Well, that girl that you're talking
people.
about, she actually got one of her first roles was in a cheesy horror movie about werewolves. So they may have used her for this movie and for Supernatural because she had I don't want to say a cult following, but the movie was like a cult success.
I got a feeling from Freddy vs. Jason that these actors were more like your average working actors than were in Alien vs. Predator. Alien vs. Predator, it seemed like some of the people didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah,
there.
they just blew the right person or something.
No, that really confused me.
There was a couple recognizable people, like the
head of the security team.
The head of the security team, the Scottish guy.
Both of the Scottish guys. There were 2 Scottish guys. One of them was covering up his accent.
Yeah, the guy with the scars from Gladiator on his cheek. And then the one guy who's the scientist. Mm-hmm. And the head of the security team who's in Punisher Warzone and a few other things. Which is interesting because he had a British accent in this one. Yeah. And I guess he normally does.
Oh, the accents.
Because he did not in Warzone.
The accents in Alien vs. Predator were all over the place. There were some people...
But I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it didn't... Well, some people were definitely covering up...
The Scottish guy with the scars was trying to mute his a little bit.
He was. I think they must have been like, we can't have 2 Scottish people on screen at the same time.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And he almost didn't do anything in the movie anyways.
Right.
And then the other dude, I don't think he'd be able to cover it up at all.
Exactly.
Even if he did, he looks...
He'd be like,
yeah, he's a goofy looking dude.
Yeah, he is.
But the main woman from Alien vs. Predator, I have no idea how they chose her for that.
Because it doesn't...
She gave the best blowies. That is
she must be, yeah.
That is the only thing that makes sense, because I can't imagine any situation where she walked in and did an audition that they said,
and the read-through was the best. Either she was someone's niece or something.
Her chemistry with the Italian dude is electrifying.
It's non-existent.
Right, no. I will say the only joy I got from Alien vs. Predator was at one point, her and the Italian dude are in a car. They're driving from where they flew into Antarctica to the base, and he looks up, he goes, oh, the moon, when it's big like this, we call it la luna del cacciatore. And Eric went, pasta moon?
And then he's like, harvest or hunter's moon. I'm like, oh, my mistake.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, excuse me, my mistake.
Yeah, so that was the most joy I got out of the movie.
Was
pasta
my
moon.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 riffing of it.
But there wasn't even any other part that you could do that.
No, it was not much to make fun of. You're just like, that's not good.
It didn't give
that's
you
also not good.
It didn't give you many opportunities, so I enjoyed Pasta Moon. And other than that,
when the moon hits your eye like a predator's laser.
That's a La Luna del Cacciatore.
Yeah, that's a La Luna del Cacciatore.
No, so I consoled myself by reminding myself that I'll never have to watch Alien vs. Predator again.
And you can watch the real Predator whenever you want, and it's amazing.
Yes, I can watch Aliens.
It's 5s
I can
across
watch
the board.
Predator. These are...
Well, I would maybe give a 4 for acting.
Yeah.
Not 5s.
Yeah, the casting is impeccable, but the acting may...
Stick around.
Right, so these are 2 of my favorite movies. Not necessarily... I don't really care that much for the first Alien.
Aliens, though, is amazing.
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for the first Alien, and it is an obviously very good movie, but Aliens and Predator are fantastic. If you want to watch a schlocky, crappy remake, watch Predators.
That's
which was
better, much better.
Which was decent. I mean, decent is a strong word.
Still has Lawrence Fishburne as a weird trash can in it.
Yeah. Lawrence Fishburne does this weird thing he does recently where he's got to be wearing his robes made of garbage. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't recommend watching Alien vs. Predator. Just watch all the previous movies from both franchises.
There was another AVP movie, wasn't there?
Yes.
And it was even worse.
And we saw that, and I don't remember anything about it.
It was even worse.
I remember that they killed a kid right at the beginning. Otherwise, it was very bad.
Because I think that one actually was R, wasn't it?
Yes.
Which they give a little points for that, but it was even worse in terms of like structure and acting.
I think so. I don't remember much about it. I'm never gonna watch it.
It was Requiem, right? AVP Requiem.
Yeah, so extreme, so
man,
cool.
They could do so much with that Alien versus Predator idea.
That's what was frustrating. Was it could have been a lot better. Some bad movies, you watch them, like with Priest, I said last week or whenever, I felt like Priest couldn't have really, it was as good as it could have been.
Right, but it at least was like, all right, that wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I wasn't pissed off watching it.
This one you're just like kind of disgusted with it at the end.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Why? Freddy vs. Jason was fine. I
actually like it. Yeah,
it knew what it was.
And they did an above average job, I think, for horror movies in terms of like making it work, making a coherent plot that, you know what I mean? There was a few things that they could have done better. There was difficult just based on, like we were saying, supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
And building the world out and everything, but
yeah, no, but it didn't.
Enjoyable.
It didn't offend me. Got a couple boobs at the beginning.
Yeah,
you can look at those.
Happy about that. They don't do that anymore.
What do you mean?
In the horror movies, they don't have boobs. It's out for no
reason.
Reason.
Oh, I don't watch horror movies for the most part.
I mean, maybe they. I don't know. It's been a while since. What was the last horror movie I saw?
God.
Krampus. That was PG-13.
Yeah, that wasn't an average horror movie. That was trying to do something different.
I think the last real horror movie I saw was one called Would You Rather on...
Boobs or no boobs?
I don't think it had any boobs.
Sounds like it's PG-13.
Definitely an R rating, though.
Yeah?
No, Saw. Because it was like Saw-type, gruesome, violent movie.
I think the thing is, with horror movies now, they just try to market them towards teenagers because... Then you get that opening weekend $50 million box office, pays for the whole thing times 10.
Right.
And that's it. So you do
because the movie's filmed in one room.
Yeah, so you do Paranormal Activity 7 and all the teenagers go and scream
they're either
and talk
that
while
or
it's
they're
happening.
like the Saw type movies. They're not the same type of like one killer.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, like in Saw, it is one killer, I guess. But.
Yeah. No boobs. Huh. Yep. How disappointing. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. If you want to get a hold of us for any reason, we have an email address now. I'm starting to get my act together on this.
2017.
Yeah. So
that was actually in the movie, though. Actually, he hasn't called or sent an email.
He has an email. Yeah.
Because it was like 03.
Right. So we're faintpraisedpodcast@gmail.com. Eventually, I'll get my act together and
send nudes.
Send us horror boobs.
Yeah, exactly.
We're running low on them. So one day we'll get on social media, but we're still in our infancy, so working out things like that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us a chance, and hopefully you'll join us next time.